Alright, so today we're going to be talking about the review section 3 for your test. Everybody should be paying attention. We should be following along. I'm going to do most of these. Some of these you guys are going to do on your own. There will be a full video on Saturday where you guys can go ahead and see all of the answers. In this video, I will give you most of them. I will show you how to do every single problem, but it is up to you to get it all done. I will tell you right now, you will not get full credit if it is not all done. You will also not be allowed to use it all if it is not completed. Again, if you do not complete this, you will not be able to use this for your test. I will double check and make sure everybody has completed it all before you get started. There should be no excuses. I'm giving you guys full answers to this, so it is up to you. Okay, so determine if the following functions, relations are functions. So before we get started, remember that x is not allowed to cheat. You should all have this in front of you. If you do not, that means you either lost it, which you can get a copy of this in Focus as well. So x is not allowed to cheat, y can. And when I say x, I mean the input of x, and the output is y. And what it means is if you are x, you can only have one other y. So if we look at number 1, you notice that I have an x of a 3 and a y of a 4, an x of a -1 and a y of a 5, x of a 3 and 2, and 2 of -4. Notice how I have a 3 and a 4 right here, and a 3 and a 2 right there. Also notice how one of your 3's has a 4, the other 3 has a 2. Currently 3 is cheating, therefore it is not a function. Let's try the next one. The domain and range, so domain is the same thing as x, your range is your y. You have a domain of 1 going to a 7 and a 4, and a domain of 4 going to an 8 and a 5. So both 1 and 4 are cheating. Therefore, this is not a function as well. Okay, next one, you have 3 dots at the top, 3 dots at the bottom. If I go ahead and draw a line here and a line right here, I could do the vertical line test. The vertical line test means if you draw vertical lines and your graph only hits it once per line, that means you have a function. So if I draw a vertical line, notice how all of my functions, or all of my dots only hit once. Therefore, this is a function. Alright, you guys figure out if this is a function or not. Okay? Again, you will not be able to get full credit if this is not correct. Alright, let's move on to number 2. The following words can be grouped into 2 categories below. Place each word in the correct column. So you have a domain, dependent, independent, input, output, f of x. Okay, so x and domain. X and domain, yes, that is true. Domain and x are the same thing. Okay, if I had range, it would go to y, but there is no range in the box. So dependent, that means you're relying on something. So y is dependent on x. Y is dependent on x. Therefore, x is independent. It's able to stand on its own independent. It can be by itself, so therefore x is independent, y is dependent. Input is going to be your x, so that one's a pretty easy one. Therefore, your output is your y. F of x. So x is your input, therefore f of x is your output. Your answer is your output. X is the input, f of x is the output. Okay, let's look at f of 0. F of 0, for this next one, all I'm going to do is match. So this is f, and it wants me to use 0 as my input. So let's look at which one is f. Well, that one's easy. F is right here. So I'm going to put a 0 in for x. So f of 0 equals 7. I see an x right here, so what am I going to do? Put a 0 plus 5. So 7 times 0, well, that's easy, 0. And then plus 5, that's easy as well. So it's just 5. Okay. The next one, though, I'm going to look at it, and it says 4 times g of 2. So it wants me to use g, which is this one. It wants me to use an input of 2, and it wants me to multiply that answer by 4. So I'm going to multiply that answer by 4. So g of 2, let's actually make this a different color. Let's do blue. G of 2, that's going to be replacing that x. I see an x, so I'm going to put 2 squared minus 6. So 2 times 2, well, that's easy. That's 4 minus 6. You owed somebody $6. You paid them back $4. You still owe them $2. But here's the thing. I'm not done because it wants us to multiply it by 4. So I'm going to take negative 2. I'm going to multiply that by 4, giving us an answer of negative 8. Okay. The last one. Last one, I'm going to help you, and then you're going to do it on your own. It wants us to do f of negative 2 plus g of 11. So it wants us to get the answers of these two and add them together. So f, we're going to do that in red, negative 2. I'm going to use the f of x, which is going to be 7 times 2 plus 5. Then it wants us to do g of 11. G of 11. So that's going to be the blue one. G times 11 equals 11 squared. Sorry, I don't know. 11 squared minus 6. And it wants us to add both of these answers together. So you're going to find the answer of this, and you're going to find the answer of this, and add them together. And the answer goes into this box. You guys are going to have to do that problem. Very easy. I just set it up for you guys. No excuses as to, oh, well, I didn't get to do it. Okay. Dan recently purchased a plot of land in the shape of a pentagon. He is planning to install a fence. To find the length of the fence, Dan used the expression WK plus 2, parentheses, f of k plus g of k. So all we're doing is we're taking this one and we're adding it to, we're essentially adding all the sides together. So that, and then let's make this one purple. Not what I wanted. Right there. So we're taking all of these sides and we're adding them all together. So let's take k squared minus 3k plus 2 plus what? 2. Let's keep this as red. F of k, which is going to be green, we'll make that one k3 plus 4k squared minus 6k, and then plus g of k, which is going to be 2k to the third plus 4. So all that I did was I took this formula right here, and I applied it to this. So I took the blue section and I matched it with this. I took the red section, which is the +2, and I matched it here. I took the f of k, which is green. I'm going to erase all these, by the way. And I took the purple section, which is green. Sorry, not green, purple. And I matched it with the purple down here. So all that I did was I matched everything together, and now I'm going to add them together. So let's add first the brackets, because PEMDAS tells us to add all my brackets together. So we're going to start with our like terms. So first, I'm going to highlight this. Is there another k to the third? Yes, there's a k to the third right here. So this is saying that I am doing k to the third plus 2k to the third. Well, since there's no number in the front of this one, it's just going to be 1. So 1 plus 2 is 3k to the third. And then I can cross my like terms out. Let's move to the next one. 4k squared. Well, is there another 4k squared? No, so I just got to leave it plus 4k squared. I cross out. Next one is going to be negative. Why does it keep doing that? Negative 6k. Well, there's no other k in parentheses, so I'm just going to do negative 6k. Cross it out. Notice that you are only left with plus 4. So I'm going to leave it as plus 4. Okay. Well, what's it want us to do with these numbers? Well, it wants us to multiply them by 2. So the red section says multiply by 2. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take 2 and we're going to multiply all these numbers in the bracket. 2 times 3 is 6. K to the third. 2 times 4 is 8k squared. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12k. And 2 times 4 is 8. Alright. Notice that none of the variables changed and none of the exponents changed. The only numbers that changed were the bases, the numbers in front of the variables. Alright. Okay, we're not done with this problem. The last part is to add the blue section. So add k to the squared minus 3k plus 2. And this is the easy part because all we're going to do is combine like terms. So let's start with k squared. Is there another k squared? Yes, right here. So remember what I said earlier. When there is no number in the front, it is just a 1. So 1 plus 8 is 9k squared. Cross that out. Cross that out. Let's move to the next one. The next one is just the k. Negative 3k. Is there another k? Right here. Negative 12k. So you owed somebody $12. You haven't paid them any more money, but you asked for more money. So you owe them 12. You asked for $3 more. 12 plus 3 is 15. So that is negative, because you owe them, negative 15k. Cross those out. Now, let's move on to the whole number, a whole number of 2 and 8. So 2 plus 8, well, that's 10 plus 10, and cross that out. Now notice how you have one number left. It's a red number, and that number is 6k to the third. Since that is the highest exponent, you're going to put that one first. So 6 k to the third. And because the 9 is positive, this is your answer. All right, and that's it. Let's move on. You can pause the video if you need to, write this down, and I'm going to move on. All right, the following table represents the function g of x. So this is the answers for g of x. Complete the table for k of x, given that k of x equals 2 times g of x plus 3. All right, so this is actually a very easy problem. You just need to know what to do. So all we're going to do is we're going to match my answers. And in order to do that, I'm going to highlight them, and then I'm going to do the rest of the problem. My numbers. Okay. Notice how the -1 for the x is the first one. So look back at the other chart and see if there's a -1. Well, yeah, there is. -1 right here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the answer for -1, which is 8, and I'm going to replace that here. So again, I find my answer first, which is -1. Sorry, I find the input, which is -1, and I match it with the input over here. The input over here is -1 as well. I take the answer, which is 8, and I replace it with the blue section. So the first one, and then I'm going to just follow what it tells me. 2, which is the 2 right here, times the answer. The answer is 8 plus 3. Okay, again, all I did was I matched them. I took the answer here, the answer replaced here, and then I followed it along. Now all I'm going to do is follow what it tells me. 2 times 8. 2 times 8 is 16. 16 plus 3. Let's just write that out. 16 plus 3 is 19. And there is my answer. I'm going to do one more. So the next one tells us 0. So I'm going to look at 0. And I'm going to match 0 over here. I'm going to take my answer of 0, which is 5. And all I'm going to do is replace it. Let's do this in red. So I take 2, and the answer is 5. So 2 times 5 plus 3. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. Okay, you guys are going to do the rest. All right, this one right here is probably the hardest question you will get on the test. But if you follow along, you will be able to do this effectively on the test. All right. So first it says, use the figure below to solve part A and part B. What is the area of the shaded region? So the area of the shaded region, it just wants this area right here. Just wants this area. It does not want that white piece right there, which I'm going to highlight blue. So it doesn't want this area. It only wants the little yellow area, the shaded area. Okay, and just so you know, area is length times width. So length times your width. Okay. So in order to find the shaded area, I need to do two things. I need to find the area of the whole rectangle, and then I need to minus it by the blue. So I need to find the whole minus the blue. So in order to do that, we're going to take 6 plus x, and we're going to multiply that by 6 minus x. So I'm going to use the box method that I showed you guys earlier this year. The box method. We're going to take 6 plus x and put it at the top. So 6 plus x. And I'm going to put 6 minus x at the bottom. Okay. So all I'm going to do is find the answers inside. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times x is 6x. So again, 6 times 6, 36. 6 times x is 6x. Now let's move to the bottom. 6 times negative x is negative 6x, and negative x times x is negative x squared. Alright, now I combine like terms. Notice how this and this one of them is positive, one of them is negative, but they are the same answer. 6 minus 6 is 0. So you cannot combine your like terms because it comes out to 0. So you are left with negative x squared plus 36. The reason it's negative is because there's a negative right here, and this is a positive 36, which is why I put a plus right there. Okay, so that is the area for the entire thing. But I need to minus the blue section. So how do I find the blue section? Well, I take 2 minus x and I multiply it by 2 plus x. And all I'm going to do is find the area of the blue section. So the area of the blue section is 2 minus x and 2 plus x. So let's find that area. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times negative x is negative 2x. 2 times x is 2x. X times negative x squared. Again, if I'm going too fast, please pause the video at any point. When you're home, you can pause it and rewind it at any point as well. Okay, so notice again your like terms. Your like terms are currently negative and positive. So I have a negative and a positive. Therefore, they cross out because 2 minus 2 is 0. So you are left with negative x squared plus 4. Alright, so what I said earlier is you're going to take the area of the blue section, which is the blue numbers right here, and you're going to minus it to the green numbers. So all you're doing is you're taking the area of the entire thing minus the blue section. So let's go ahead and let's try that. So it's going to be negative x squared plus 36 minus negative x squared plus 4. Okay. So again, all I'm doing is I'm subtracting the big section to the little section. Alright. There's nothing I can do with the inside of this, so this is going to stay the same. Negative x squared plus 36. But notice how there's a negative in the front, so you're going to distribute the negative. So negative times a negative is a positive. Negative times a positive is a negative. Alright, now I'm going to combine like terms. So I take negative x squared and positive x squared. Notice how they're both opposite of each other. So those are going to cross out. And you are left with 36 minus 4. 36 minus 4 is 32. So what is the area of the shaded region? The area is 32. Okay, so the next section says the small rectangle is made larger by adding 3 units to the length and 3 units to the width. What is the area of the new shaded region? So there's an easy way to do this. So 3 plus 3 is 6, because all we're doing is we're adding 3 units to the to the length and 3 units to the width. So 3 plus 3 is 6. And then look at this up here. This is the area of the small one, right? So if the area of the small one was plus 4, all I'm going to do is add 6 to that. So what's 4 plus 6? That's 10. So all we're going to do is 32 minus 10 now, and that's going to be 22. So all I did was I took 3 and 3, which is 6, added it to the 4 up at the top, and I subtracted that number, which is 10, to the 32. Okay. We're going to move on to the next one. Next one says, using the graph below, which of the following statements are true? Select all that apply. So the domain is -6, less than x. and less than 6. So the domain, again, domain is the same thing as your x. The range is the same thing as your y. So the domain, which is your x, is -6. So -6 over here, less than that. So there is no numbers that are actually less than -6. So that's correct so far. Or less than 6. So less than 6 over here. So is there an x that is less than 6 or greater than 6? Sorry. Yeah, there is. There's a 7 right here. So is that a true statement? No, that's a false statement. So that's wrong. Okay, let's move on. The range is -1, less than x, or less than 3. So -1, which is right here for your range, and it's got to be nothing greater than 3. Well, that's wrong because there's a 4 right here, so that's wrong. On top of that, it says x, so they've tried to fool you from the beginning. Range is not x, range is y, so that is wrong as well. Okay, the graph is constant when -6, so constant just means it's straight. When -6 is less than x, or less than or equal to -2. So let's see. X is -6, so that's this point right here, and -2. Well, yeah, my line is straight, so this is a constant. That is true. Okay, the relative minimum is at 0, 0. So minimum, remember, the lowest point on the graph is 0, 0. Well, that's not true because the lowest point is right here, and that is not 0, 0. So that is also wrong. Okay, last question. The graph is decreasing when 2 is less than x and less than 7. So 2 and less than 7. Well, yeah, my whole entire graph is decreasing, so that is correct. Okay, moving on. Number 8. Match each graph with its related table. All right, so all we're going to do is we're going to see if they go up, down, how much they're decreasing by, and relate it to the graph. So at 1, 3, 5, and 7, all of my times are the same. So time goes like this, temperature goes up. Time goes to the right, temperatures go up. So the first one, A, goes from 91, 89, 81, and 64. So it goes consistent, consistent, and then it drops really hard. So does it match with this one? Not really. It doesn't match with this one. Yeah, I would say so. I would say that this drop right here is pretty big. So A would be 9. Okay. Now let's look at B. B goes from 61 to 60, 60 to 59, and 59 to 58. All of those numbers are pretty close. So which one of these ones are pretty close? Well, probably this one, D. 10. So 10 is B. Okay. And the last one, 24 to 26. So that went from low to high. To 26 to 27, again it went up, and 27 to 21, and then it dropped. So it kind of goes up, up, and then down. And I don't know what just happened. So that one would be this one. C is 8. So 8 is C. All right, moving on to number 9. Number 9 says a car at 24 miles per hour maintains that speed for the next 5 minutes. 5 seconds, sorry. It then accelerates 45 miles per hour in 5 seconds and maintains that speed for the next 5 seconds. Which graph below would match the situation described? So a car at 24 miles per hour maintains that speed. So maintain would just mean it went at that same speed. Then it accelerated, so it went up. And then after that, it maintained it again. So is there a graph that maintained, accelerated, maintained? So is there a graph that looks like this one? And yes, that is the D graph. Okay, and if we look at this graph, it looks like it starts at 24, it goes steady for 5 seconds, then it goes all the way up to 45, and then stays steady for 15 seconds at 45. That is correct. Okay, we're going to move on to 10. All right, a teacher claims that a relationship between the number of hours studied for a test and the test scores can be described by, we're going to say this is g of x, equals 44 plus 9x, where x represents the number of hours studied. So the biggest part right here is going to be the x representing the number of hours studied. So remember, x represents our input, and the input is also the same thing as the independent variable. Okay. So the number of hours studied represents the independent variable. So x is the independent variable, and what does x represent? The numbers of hours studied. So that is correct. Okay, the next one, B, the number of hours studied represents the dependent. Well, no, we just said that was wrong. So that's wrong. Ava studied 5 hours to estimate her predicted test score. She will evaluate G of 5. So 5 represents what again? The number of hours studied. So if she inputs X for 5, is she correct? Yes. That's how you would solve that. Joy needs to score at least an 80 on the test. This will be possible if she studies 4.5 hours. So how would I write 4.5? I can do that as 4.5. So let's figure this out. I'm going to put G of 4.5. I'm going to put that equal to 44 plus 9 times 4.5. Okay. All that I did was I replaced G of x with 4.5, and then my input is going to be 4.5. Now let's multiply the 9 times the 4.5, which is going to give you the 40.5. You're going to add that to 44, which is going to give you an answer of 84.5. So would that be a true statement? Yes, because she would score an 84.5. And the last question, a reasonable domain. Domain is the same thing as input. So that we would be talking about hours. So a reasonable domain is -11 to 100. Well, I don't think that's correct, because can you study negative hours? No. As much as you don't pay attention, that's still not negative, because there is no such thing as negative time. All right. Okay. Number 11, moving on. Number 11, we're actually going to talk about in class, so I will not go over that in the video. I do not expect you to do number 11 until we go to class. I'm back in class. Okay, let's move on. A football is kicked up from the ground level at an initial velocity of 70 feet per second. So I'm going to highlight that, 70 feet per second. The equation h of t equals -16t squared plus 70t gives the height of h of t of the football after t seconds. We should all be paying attention and making sure that we all have this down. So what is the height of the football at 4 seconds? So t stands for seconds. And if we get this problem wrong, I will be very upset. Everybody should get this correct because it's actually a very simple problem. They give you everything you need to know. They give you the 4 seconds, all we need to do, and they give us t stands for seconds. So all we're going to do is we're going to replace 4 with the t. So h of 4 equals negative 16 4 squared plus 70 times 4. Very, very simple. I'm not going to finish this problem. You are finishing that on your own. I pretty much gave you the answer. Again, you will not be able to use your study guide on the test unless it is all complete. Okay? So next one, determine the rate of change of the intervals listed below. So rate of change is simple, slope. I was told it's a middle school situation, so I will not help as much on this problem. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Alright, so all we are doing is we're going to find intervals a and b. That's this point and this point right here. And we're going to find those points, and all we're doing is figuring out the slope. So point A, we'll do it in blue, is right here. So my x value is 0, my y value is 5. So A is going to be 0 and 5. The B value, which is right here, is going to be 1 and 6. So B is going to be 1 and 6. And all we are doing is going to use the slope formula. So I put x and y, x and y. I put small 1s for my first point and small 2s for the second point. Then I just follow the formula, which is y2. My y2 is 6, minus my y1. My y1 is 5. x2 is 1, x1 is 0. So that's going to be 6 minus 5. 6 minus 5 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0, or 1 minus 0 is 1. 1 over 1, well, that's easy. That's 1. You guys are expected to finish the next one. I just did the A, B. You guys do C and D. Okay. Number 14, consider the table for the exponential function p of x equals 3 to the power of x shown below. What is the average rate of change for the intervals n and t? So we just went over this. It's very simple. Use the formula that we just talked about and then find your 2 points. I've already highlighted them. So now you guys do the rest. By the way, this problem is we have done this problem before. So I would look back at your notes and look for this problem. Okay, the last one. What is the average rate of change? Oh, sorry, consider the graph below. Select all statements that describe the transformations shown below. So transformations, very easy. If they are inside, remember, if they are inside the parentheses, so that's why I drew parentheses, and it is positive, we're going to go to the left. If they are negative, we'll go to the right. If they are outside parentheses and they are positive, we're going to go up. If they are negative, we go down. So inside is left or right, outside is up or down. Okay, so select all the statements that describe the transformations below. So it says g of x should be the same thing as h of parentheses x plus 3 plus 4. So this is very simple. We're going to start with the h of x, which is this one right here, the blue one. So we're going to start here, and we should end at g of x. That's what this is saying. So we should start with the h of x, and remember to always start at the vertex So always start at the vertex. If it has a vertex. If it doesn't have a vertex, you find a point. But you're going to start at the vertex, and then we are going to, so it tells us h of x plus 3 inside. So it's inside, which is a positive. So I'm going to move it over 1, 2, and 3 points, because that's what it tells me, to move it over 3 points. Then it tells me to add 4, but it's outside. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3, and 4. And look where I land. I land at the g of x, where it wanted me to land. So it wanted me to land at g of x, and that's where I landed. So this is a true statement. Okay, I'm going to erase this. And then let's go ahead and let's do green for the next one. So it wants us to land the next one b at h of x, but it wants me to start at f. So it wants me to start at this line right here, the green dot. So if I want to start at the green dot, and it wants me to, inside parentheses, it's a positive 3. So inside parentheses, and it's positive, meaning I'm going to go to the left. 1, 2, and 3. There is nothing here. So because there is nothing here, B is incorrect. All right. You guys are going to do C and D on your own. Okay. Now, that is it. If you got lost or something, you need to watch this video again on your own time. Get this done. On Saturday, you will be able to watch this video, a complete video of everything. If it is not working on focus, I will put it on Edpuzzle. Again, if it is not working on focus, I will put it on Edpuzzle. All right. So there should be no excuses as I didn't have enough time. You guys have a long weekend coming up. There should be no excuses. You should get this done. You will not be able to use it if it is not complete. You will also not get full credit if it is not complete. Okay. I hope you guys are having a great week, and I will see you guys very soon.